Hey, this is John with padprinters.com talking about the different kinds of film that you can use to make cliches with the Tosh exposure unit. This film is the laser printable film that comes with a cliche making kit. We recommend that you print at a resolution setting of 600 dpi with a laser printer. We're talking about the older laser printers that have the carbon black powdery toner cartridges in them. So you would set up a template. This is 100 millimeters wide by 200 millimeters, which is the cliche size for the Micro 90. If you're using Corel Draw or Adobe Illustrator, for example. And then what I've done here is mechanically, when this is installed in the machine, the center of the ink cup, which is 90 millimeters in diameter, plus 5 millimeters on the front, should be 50 millimeters from the front edge of the cliche and centered, or 50 millimeters from each edge. So that's typically, if you're setting up a template, this would be the front of the cliche from the operator's perspective here, where the pins will be to locate it. I always make a template because I want to cover the whole cliche with film when I'm making production cliches. So this outline is going to give me something to align to. And then again, the image normal setback on the Micro 90, 50 millimeters back from the front edge and centered at 50 millimeters. So this is actually printed in reverse. So when you're making films with a laser printer, you want to make sure that you're printing in reverse. In other words, the image is not on the front of this film as I'm reading it correctly, it's on the back. That's where it needs to be. And you'll notice this one's also shiny. And the reason it's shiny is because I have sprayed it with the toner density spray, the BLK 100, to increase that density on the film or opacity. So you want these to be very, very black so the light cannot transmit through them. That's the whole point in the cliche making process. These films are more like what you get from us. If you purchase film from us, you'll see that you have an padprinters.com artwork file number unique to each plate that we make for you. This is a film that we use for printing on golf balls. If you purchase films from us, you'll see that they look like that. Again, there's that same 100 by 200 template with the image centered where I was explaining it, same spot. In your exposure kit, if you got the test films, these are test films that you would have from us. They're just like our production films. The reason why we have these is when making cliches, most often the problem is density with the film. In other words, this is not printing with enough toner when you're making them on a laser printer. So when you do an exposure, the light gets through and it makes your cliche shallower than it should be. It won't pick up ink. So if you're having a problem, you can use a test film and do the exposures as we recommend, which are normally 4 minutes with the image film, either this type or the type from us. And then you take that one off, you do 4 minutes with a line screen film and develop. So if you're having a problem getting a suitable cliche with film that you're making, the purpose of these test films would be to use a film that we know has sufficient density, using the exposure times we recommend, developing it like we recommend, and then you could have a cliche that you would be able to compare to what you're getting. And we can help you troubleshoot from there. So then you have line screen film. The previous video I mentioned it comes in a roll 200 millimeters long by 600 millimeters wide. These I cut down to 100 millimeters wide, and then I take a corner out in the upper right hand corner when I know that the image is, or the emulsion is dull side down. You can see this is dull, this is shinier. So this dull side goes down on the surface of the plate, and I cut the corner off just as a little trick to make sure I know that the orientation is the same. So there are your different types of films: laser printed film, film from us, test film, and line screen film. Next, we'll talk about the exposure process.